Hello everyone and welcome back to Chaitanya Data. I am your host Chaitanya and today we have a very special guest with us. He is going to share his insights on something many of you are curious about, interview experience at Gartner. So get ready to take the notes guys. Today we have a Soham Dutta with us who work at Gartner. Soham, a big welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the welcome.
So Soham, to kick things off, can you please introduce yourselves to our listeners? Tell us a bit about your background and what you are currently doing at Gartner.
Sure thing. So, firstly, hello everyone, and my name is Soham Dutta, and I have a background in statistics. So, I have completed my bachelor's and my master's in statistics. After which, I joined Mahindra Finance as a data scientist, and I worked there for more than a year. And then I shifted to Gartner as a specialist in the quantitative analytics and data science team. And our team here is more like a centralized data science team for the whole company, and we cater various needs of clients as well as internal Gartner projects. So yeah, this is all about the work that I'm doing and my background and how things have been going for me.
That's great to hear, Soham. Now let's dive into the main topic. Can you briefly walk us through your overall interview experience at Gartner? How was the journey for you?
Yeah. So the looking back at the interview at Gartner, I believe the interview was very structured and focused, and it tested both my technical and business oriented knowledges. They focused on my old experiences, keeping in mind their requirements for the current role as well. Again, looking back, it feels more like a conversation than an interview. How we discussed problems, glided through them, came up with optimal solutions as well as roadblocks. So yeah, that was a very interesting and I believe one of the most unique kind of interview that I've ever given.
That gives us good overview, Soham. Now let's get into the specifics. So how many rounds were there in total for your interview at Gartner, and what type of rounds were included, like coding, technical, HR, or anything else?
So, briefly speaking, there were 5 rounds, and the first round was basically a basic HR screening where the HR called me and told me about the certain opening and how I had to submit a project in 48 hours, and they would review the project. Based on that, I'll move forward to the next round. So, the project was about building a ETL pipeline and making an analytic report and the dashboard out of it. Coming to the second round was basically a panel of interviewers discussing about the project that I have done. Now, they discussed about ways of improvement in the system design, and things like that. And they mostly interviewed my skills about how I can improve the process and how they can come up with more scalable and more business optimal solutions. And the second round was basically a technical round or a coding round. You can call it a coding round as well. And the technical round was mostly based on my prior experiences, my statistical experiences, how I build models, what kind of models I build, the type of error handling I work on, and things like that. Again, and lastly, there was the coding part. The coding part was actually very interesting and very different from all other interviews that I've given. In the coding round, funnily enough, they didn't tell me to write a single line of code. They only asked me for logic. So I had to define them the logic and draw out the logic to them in different ways, like in schemas or maybe in iterations, and there were things like that. So this was like the third round. The fourth round was a business round. The business round basically started with guesstimates, and they discussed about various business related problems, how I can identify the KPIs in the business, how to improve them, how to communicate, and things like. And finally, the last round was the cultural fitness round, where it was mostly seeing if I'm culturally fit to join this company. They had leadership questions, situational questions. They asked me about how I would respond to such a certain situation, and things like why I want to join Gartner and how can I contribute to this company and how can the company contribute to my growth as well. So yeah, briefly these were the 5 rounds that I faced during this interview.
Thanks for breaking down the round, Soham. I'm sure our listeners are eager to know this next part. Can you share some of the key problems or the questions you were asked during these rounds? Were there any tricky or unique questions that really stood out to you?
So there were many questions, and in them, I believe the most interesting round was the guesstimate round, because they gave me various, like, very difference in the questions. So I can share one question. They asked me, "Can you guess the number of petrol pumps there are in India?" Now this is a very interesting question because India is divided into urban and rural and semi-urban, semi-rural, and things like that. So the market sizing, the assumptions, the road present in India. So this was a very interesting question that I faced, and the discussion for this question went on for around 20-25 minutes. So this was a very interesting question. And another interesting question that I remember vividly from the interview was during my technical round. They asked me a quick question which I had to answer in 2 minutes. Question was, if you are in a room full of 23 people, what is the probability that two of them have the same birthday? So this is a very interesting and actually a very easy question. And again, there were various questions on business KPI. So if you are handling a supply chain in India, what are the KPIs that you will keep in mind? So there were questions like this. I believe these types of questions were the most interesting ones that I can remember right now.
That's really helpful to know what kind of questions to expect. Now, let's talk about the preparation. How did you prepare for this interview, Soham? Were there any specific platform, book, or resources that you found really useful?
So firstly, this is not just about Gartner. So whenever I prepare for an interview, the first thing I look into is understanding the company, the services they provided, the clients they serve, and the culture they have in their place. So these are the three things that is very important to understand. And I thoroughly looked through everything that there is present about Gartner on the internet. Again, after you understand the company, I believe for me it was most important to brush up my own technical knowledge and my coding skills. So you never know what kind of coding questions or what kind of technical knowledge they ask you. So it's very important to revise all of them. I revised my notes from my masters, from bachelors. Again, the projects that were in my CV, it's very important to know everything in your CV. So understanding the projects in my CV, and again going through the old works that I have done in my old organizations. So going through that, my previous experiences. And I do not remember going through any specific material or specific website, but I believe there were many platforms like LeetCode, which helped me in surfing through many coding related problems and building the coding logic, however you call it, the coding logic to understand how to go flow with the code.
Yes. Preparation is a key, and your tips will definitely help, Soham. Moving on to the another important aspect, that is your resume. What
Right.
project did you highlighted in your resume when applying to Gartner? And did the interviewer ask question about your projects? If yes, like which one were they curious about?
Yeah. So basically, I had three major projects in my resume. The first one was one I had done for Mahindra. It was about building a model that was a pre-lending model, giving loan to risky customers. How the model assesses the customers and give out the loans and the amount of loans that is given to them. This was one project. The second one was a customer churn analysis that I did during my master's time. It was basically about customer retention and understanding the factors which drive the main idea behind customer retention. And the last one was my master's dissertation. That was a very theoretical, I would say, very theoretical project where I had built an estimator for the logistic model. Now, in Gartner, they were mostly interested in my pre-lending model work and my customer churn analysis work, because again, retention was a very big issue that they wanted to discuss during the interview. So there were many questions about how I found the data, how I cleaned the data, and how I identified the key factors that my model would drive while going through this use case. Again, for the pre-lending model, they asked me that how I decided which kind of model to use, the hyperparameters I decided, and why I decided it mostly. And yeah, so model selection, error handling, exception handling, that was the most basic kind of questions that they stick to.
Yeah, Soham, it's good to know how important the projects are. Now, for something a bit lighter and fun, what perks, joining kits, or gifts did you get when you join Gartner? Everyone loves to hear about the money.
Yeah, so I'll be very honest. When I got the offer letter, the first thing I searched was what kind of joining gifts or perks do I get at Gartner. So while joining, they just sent me the laptop, and I was very disappointed that it's just the laptop, not even a headset. So I was like, okay, what else can be done? So the next day, another delivery comes in. That was a bag, a bottle, and a headphone. I'm like, okay, that's good. And the next day, another delivery comes in. It's an iPhone, it's an MX card, and I believe there was another headphone. So there were two headphones, iPhone, and the MX card, and also a wireless mouse. So these were the things in my joining kit, and I'm more than satisfied with the joining kit that I have got. And again, they have a portal here in Gartner, so you can order whatever technical things you need. Like for example, I ordered a monitor, I ordered a camera, I ordered a mouse pad, a mouse, a keyboard, and so these are the perks that I get at Gartner. And apart from that, again, there are medical facilities that you get at Gartner, the perks you get at Gartner, and again, we have a wellness fund where we can spend a certain amount every year and we get reimbursed for it. Spending as in for our wellness needs, maybe joining the gym, joining swimming, and things like that. So I would say there are many perks in Gartner.
Yeah, Soham, that sounds exciting. Finally, Soham, for our listeners who might be dreaming of working at Gartner or a similar company, what advice would you give to someone preparing for an interview at Gartner? Are there any tips or things to avoid based on your experience?
So I believe for whatever interview you are giving, maybe Gartner, maybe some other company, it's very important to brush up your basics because they actually stick to the basics. They do not like to go in a very high, deep and intellectual concept. They do not do that. They stick to basics. And I believe you should be absolutely ready for whatever is there written on your resume. You should not fumble on your resume because that's the worst thing you can do in an interview. And I believe you should avoid complicating answers. Don't complicate them. None of the interviewers like jargons. They like simple and clear answer. So, and just in case you don't know anything, just properly communicate with them. Tell them that you do not know, but you are willing to learn it. So yeah, these are the key things that I try to avoid. And again, be clear, be transparent, communicate properly. That's all it's need to crack an interview.
Yes, Soham, thank you so much for sharing your valuable experience and insights with us today. This has been incredible, helpful, and inspiring for our audience. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on a Chaitanya. Thank you so much once again, Soham.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.